Zapof Form's layout engine automatically rearranges elements into a single column on small devices such as phones. But, do we still have to use a single column when there is enough space for two columns, such as larger phones? Our answer to that question is to use the responsive multi-column container element. With a responsive multi-column container, our layout engine automatically rearranges the elements according to how many columns that can fit into the screen's width. The basic principle is to have fewer columns for smaller devices. I'll explain later how we configure the setting of the responsive multi-column container. Let's add a responsive multi-column container element. Select the line break and click the Add Question and Element button on the left toolbar. Type multi-column and press Enter. Click the Add button on the responsive multi-column card. The container is divided into 12 equal-size fractions. A column can occupy a multiple of fractions, so the column's width can be 1 fraction to 12 fractions. So, if the column uses 4 fractions, the column's width is 1/3 of the container width. For this example, we create a cupcake order form with 3 kinds of cupcakes. For larger devices such as tablet and desktop, we want to put the cupcake selection into 3 columns. So, all cupcake selections are in the same row. For the larger phones, we want the selections to split into 2 rows. 2 cupcake selections in the first row, and the last cupcake in the second row. And, for small phones, we stack all cupcake selections vertically. We configure our container layout in the settings. But, first, we add 3 columns to the container. Click the Add Column button 3 times. Initially, the 3 columns are stacked on top of each other vertically. Let's configure the container. Click the Setting button. The instruction is at the bottom. Click the down arrow to show the instruction. We want to put the cupcake selection into 3 columns in the same row for larger devices, and 2 columns for large phones. So, we enter 4, 4, and 4 to tablet. And for the large phones, we enter 6, and 6. The sum of the fractions should be 12. We don't need to enter the fractions for the laptop and desktop because the layout is the same as for the tablet. But, how about the setting for the large phone? We use all 12 fractions for the first 2 columns. What happens to the third column? When there is no fraction set for a column, the column goes to the next row. So, for a large phone, we will see 2 cupcake selections in 2 columns at the top, followed by the last cupcake selection at the bottom. We are done with the responsive multi-column container configuration. Click Apply. I'm using a laptop to design this form. So, the current setting button shows the layout on the device that I'm using to create this form. To see how the layout looks like for other device, click the corresponding button at the toolbar. For the small phone devices, the columns are stacked vertically because we don't set any fraction to the columns. For the large phone device, we see 2 columns, followed by the third column at the bottom, as expected. For the tablet, the layout shows 3 columns in the same row. The same goes for the laptop and desktop. Let's add element into the columns. Click the current setting button to reset the layout. Click the column handle. It's the darker horizontal bar at the top of the column. Click the Add Question and Element at the left toolbar. Click the Add button on the text card. And enter chocolate caramel, 12 pieces for $48. Let's add an image of the chocolate cupcake. Click the Add Question and Element at the left toolbar. Type image and press Enter. Click the Add button on the image card. Click the Image Source button and choose the Upload Image button. Select the file from a folder on your desktop computer. Let's make this image responsive. The maximum width of a responsive image follows its container dimension. Click the Responsive button. And, let's add rounded corners to the image. Click the Rounded Corner button on the Element toolbar. We add a numeric input field for the user to specify the quantity. And, we position the input field below the question. Let's adjust its width. Now, we add a currency input field to show the subtotal of the order. Let's adjust its width, so it's the same as the quantity input field. The formula for the subtotal is the quantity times 48. To avoid accidental negative number, we put the quantity inside an absolute function. Click Apply. Let's copy and paste the elements to the second and third columns. And change the cupcake selection title to Blueberry Blue and Strawberry Vanilla. We change the cupcake images too. We need to update the formula to use the correct question for the quantity. We have completed our cupcake order form in a responsive multi-column container. Now, let's see how it works in different devices. This is how it looks on a large device such as a notebook and desktop. Let me change the view to a large phone view. So, this is how it looks on a large phone. Now, for the small phone. Let's switch the view to a tablet. And, let me switch back to the current view on my laptop. From this example, we can see the result of using a responsive multi-column. It gives the flexibility and ease of use to the user, to use all kinds of devices to access and fill up the form.